Welcome back to Captain Coleslaw Outdoors with yours truly. And it is July 5th, and as you can see, we put the fishing rods down for a while, and it is a beautiful summer day. It's actually 71 degrees right now, but it's gonna go up to the 90s. And this is an opportunity for us to revisit one of the most popular videos that we've put up on the channel to date with round 2 here on the Reason series. Today, we are pursuing one of Pennsylvania's best opportunities to go shoot during the summer months, both with the camera and with a little pew-pew action, as we go after the glorious groundhogs that Western Pennsylvania has to offer. So if you were with us on the last episode where we hunted groundhogs, we were talking about how they were an R-selected species, so they propagate really quick and take over a landscape very fast if there's not enough predators limiting their numbers. Well, today, rather than talking about the why we hunt groundhogs in order to keep their numbers managed, I want to talk a little bit about how we're finding groundhogs and explore basically the same kind of hunt, but look at it from the perspective of what I'm looking for in groundhog habitat, rather than just talking about why we need to shoot some groundhogs. So when we're trying to get these groundhogs on the farm close enough for a shot, there's two things that we're trying to consider. First of all is we want to know exactly where the groundhogs want to be. And then we want to know how we can cut the distance between us and them for a clean, ethical shot. Groundhogs in this open farm country have evolved some interesting behaviors. They will burrow in wide open flat fields, which allows them to actually spot predators from any direction while they're plenty far away to be a threat. At the same time, they like to be close to their food, which can be anything from clover, crop, even acorns on oak trees and blackberry bushes. So you're going to find groundhogs nesting in places where they can spot danger, but also in close enough proximity to the food they need so they don't have to wander far from their burrows. Well, as a groundhog hunter, we use terrain as a barrier to get close to groundhogs, and sometimes that can be as little as a single stump, a single bush, an oak tree, a low 2-foot swale in a field. But whatever it takes to get close to these groundhogs without them seeing us, geographically we will use anything we can to get close. Even if that means dropping down into a creek bottom and popping up on a field edge closer to the groundhog than where we originally see it, you have to make yourself get out of sight, even if that means taking a long route, if you really want to cut the distance on these groundhogs. But the good news is, because their burrows can't be relocated, you know where the groundhog is going to be, or is going to be within close proximity to. It's just a matter of getting close enough to that hole to not be seen and thus get a shot off. Whether the groundhogs are nesting under an old water tank, a field edge, or even right out in the middle, you have to find a way to not be seen if you want to get close enough to shoot these cagey little rodents. Alright guys, so here's our strategy to start. We're heading down these old field roads out to these hay fields, like we were talking about here. And some of this hay is actually uncut, so it's very high. And we're not going to be able to see the groundhogs in there. It's just a matter of fact. But it's going to hold a lot of them. So it's these sort of little thin strips of road edge and ditches where the groundhogs are going to be feeding. And we can get really close to them if they're feeding, using the cover around us to get up on top of them. So I've already seen groundhog tracks I've already seen tracks in the mud where the groundhogs have been moving on these roads. But the big thing is for us is we got to use these uncut hay fields to get close to the cut ones where the groundhogs are going to be feeding right along those edges. We got binoculars so we can actually spot these groundhogs from a long ways off, and then we can kind of plan a stalk to get close. I got the 17 HMR on my back, which is plenty of pew-pew to kill a groundhog. But we're not going to be making massive shots across the country to get them. We're looking at, little 100 to 50-yard shots optimally. So rather than walking down this road, I'm going to use the cover. I'm going to use the shadows. I'm going to get up into this woodlot, and we're going to use our binoculars and glass down through those cut fields way down far there and see if we can't get a groundhog located so we can stalk them. The key is we're using the uncut fields to our advantage to get close. Even though we can't see the groundhogs in those uncut fields, they're going to use them most frequently. But around the edges of them, where they can pop out and get to more accessible grasses, they could pop out right in our laps and give us a chance to shoot them very easy. So we're going to use the cover to get close and hopefully snipe quite a few groundhogs today. Alright, so we're looking out over this cut hayfield right now. And I'll tell you what, I don't see any groundhogs out there. But it's because the clover is about 9 inches high, which is actually perfect. If we do see them with the binoculars, they're going to have their heads down in that clover feeding, and they will not be able to spot us. So it's not like we're hunting in a bare open ballroom. There still is just enough cover to hide us. But with a keen eye and patience, we should be able to find the groundhogs as well. There are some oven birds and chipmunks here that are not happy that we're here. Hopefully that doesn't alert anything. But I think if we sit out for a while here, we should get a shot at some groundhogs out off of this field. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to set up, get the gun and bipod out, take a look over this patch for a while, over this corn, and see what we can do to get some shots off up here this morning. Alright, so we moved to a new spot, and out in this field in front of me, I can see a groundhog peeking up over the grasses. He's out there quite a ways, but this is a really solid field to hunt, so I really want to try to, get him. But with this heat, they're not moving far from the holes. So I want to be able to see as many holes as possible, not just stake out on the one dog here, and see if we can't get a little bit more action for you. We haven't shot at anything yet. That one we know where he is. But I want to get in a position where if there's more of them up here, which I know there are, we can get a shot at them. Well, they're here somewhere. That should be a very dead hog if it's all said and done. Man, he would not leave the hole. He would not leave that hole. But he's got to be dead. I mean, that's 20 yards. Had to shoot through some grass, which I don't like. But you put in tempo, you're gonna kill him, no doubt.
Ultimately, we did end up getting a groundhog on this hunt, but we had to work for them. We had to really scope out the landscape. We knew where they were burrowing. We saw the groundhog, but a combination of thick cover and ample food and a hot day means that these groundhogs don't have to go all that far from their holes in order to get what they need to survive. That poses challenges, and the rest of the morning we hiked around the farm and it only got hotter and the groundhog sightings only lessened. So with one groundhog under our belt, we may have to come back another morning when it's a little bit cooler in the morning hours if we want to try to knock a couple more groundhogs down for you here on camera. And that's exactly what we attempted to do.
Oh yeah, we're back. We're sitting up on a gas well up on one of these higher fields of the farm trying to spot a groundhog, and I'm not seeing the sign here, honestly. So it's July 8th, so it's actually like 3 days after we hunted or something like that. I'm not even sure. But we're getting out here early. It's about 7:30 right now. We've been sitting on this field for about 15 minutes. And we're still trying to get after these hogs in a little bit higher concentration than the other day. We only shot one, but it was also middle of the day, and it was approaching like 95-degree heat index with the humidity. No thank you. But groundhogs are no different than any other animal. They don't do well in that heat either. So the groundhog we shot was literally right over the hole. Like, he wasn't outranging and feeding. And that's just because it got too hot. We were out too late. We were about 2 hours too late. So they're actually weed eating down on the farm below us that we're hunting. So that might have spooked them out of this pasture. It's actually pretty close to that. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to boogie down through these mountains up into some of these more familiar fields that we've hunted in the past. And I know there's groundhogs there, but they're hard to kill right now. And we want to beat them to the punch, especially while the sun is low and it's still kind of cool out. Good for them to be feeding. So we sat here for a while, but we're gonna pack up here and move on to another area using this cooler morning to try to get groundhogs out feeding compared to the heat where they're situated right over their burrows. So we talk about the groundhogs liking cover. Well, this hayfield is about 2 weeks away from being cut. What does that mean? Doesn't mean that this is going to get any better in regards to visibility. There's 2 groundhogs about 300 yards out here coming out of a hole, but with that gap closed down to like 70 yards, we should be able to kill both of those groundhogs if we're play this right. Now they're right over their hole. And just to put in perspective, there's a hen turkey sitting out here in the field as well, laying completely flat. That's a 20-pound bird just periscoping us. In other words, visibility in this field is super risky. You can just see enough over the clover, but we're gonna have to play this aggressive, and we're gonna have to play it very smart. And if we can kill these 2, I would call this a successful morning of using the cover to get in close on these hogs. So slight audible, but this is the versatility part of it. Those groundhogs are actually heading down into this creek bottom. and they're going towards the corn, so we're actually going to get in the corn. I got a shadow from the trees marked where I want to be, and I think if we can sneak into this corn, which is actually pretty high right now, it's about 5 feet high, as you can see here. If we're sneaking down into that, we should be able to get right up on where those groundhogs are heading. We might be able to kill them. The only problem is if they run back to the hole, well, we're gonna have to reposition on them and hope that they don't just hang out while the sun is getting higher until the evening. Smoked them. Missed on the first, nailed him on the second. I think the first shot, it didn't know where I was. I think it thought I was on the other side. Well, he gave me a perfect look, 40 yard. You can tell you hit him because you get that acoustic thump when you hit the groundhog. The first shot, I didn't have that acoustic thump. I just saw the groundhog dip down the grass. I didn't see him run, but I definitely saw him kind of, move. But he stayed in that area, so I just kept my general eyes on the same vicinity, and then he just crested the grass in order to try to find where I was, and that ended up really bad for him. So I love it when a plan comes together. Oh yeah. Right over the hole. Wow. Nasty shot there. Little groundhog, oh my. Well, y'all, I think that's where we're gonna end this episode. Had some tough conditions for groundhogging. With higher grass and a little bit less visibility. Not to mention the warm temperatures really shut down their activity, but we staked them out, we knew where they were going to be, and we used the landscape to kind of get into a position to kill these groundhogs. So if nothing else, I hope you just kind of saw the guerrilla style tactics that we needed to get to some of these animals. And we were able to harvest a couple, even though it was just one per day over 2 days. So thanks for watching this episode. Captain Coleslaw Outdoors. Like and subscribe. Shoot straight, stay strong. That is it. I'm out till the next one.